My big question today is sleaze putting democracy in danger. I don't think I'm being over-dramatic. Bear with me. For centuries, folk have fought for democracy. It may not be perfect, but as Churchill observed, when you consider the other options, it probably is the best on offer. The idea of us having the right to choose men and women who will represent us, to vote for those who we think appear to be on the same track as we are, and then to licence them for 5 years or so to pass laws for the greater good is of itself compelling. But also, for as long as most of us can remember, wrong-uns get in alongside the good men and women who genuinely seek to serve. Now, the wrong-uns seek to line their pockets, not for our good, but for theirs. They're also often guns for hire to push the interests and often profits of businesses and groups of businesses. Now, I stress it's not new, but in recent times, I think it seems to have got a whole lot worse. It certainly didn't start with cash for questions in 1994 or the huge expenses scandal of 2009, but both of those were striking recent examples of low points and prompted strong action by Parliament to police itself and by the governments of the day to enforce it. Didn't do too well with that lot. Another low point, however, seems to have been reached recently, from allegations that contracts during the coronavirus were awarded to pals, MPs spending so much time on a second career that they barely had time to be in Parliament, and of course lobbying. This is all familiar territory, and I've spoken about it here on this programme before. What's more, both the Conservative government and the Labour opposition have put forward packages in recent days to further curb paid lobbying. It was already against parliamentary rules, but the case of Owen Paterson demonstrated it persisted. The extraordinary hours that Sir Geoffrey Cox, a former Attorney General, put in as a barrister prompted a tougher stance on second jobs too. Again, we're on familiar territory, and we await the final outcome of this latest attempt to clean up politics. I think there's a sense that the great and the good need to be more active in policing these politicians. MPs can make their own rules, but they shouldn't be able to mark their own homework, rate their own behaviour. But Tory grandee Charles Moore writes a cautionary tale in today's Telegraph. Under the headline, "The anti-sleaze backlash risks removing power from voters and handing it to the blob. It would be wrong," he writes, "to hand control of the British government to officials and judges, thus weakening the power of the people voting at a general election." So, if democracy is in danger, democracy also holds the answer. That's part of the reason that I want to return to this issue. All the opinion polls suggest a growing disquiet with our politics. Folk feel increasingly alienated by the activities of some MPs. It isn't all of them by any means, but it is parliamentary democracy that risks being tarred with the same brush. The government's made a habit of breaking its promises and its manifesto pledges too, from taxation, overseas aid, pensions, so much of it. But those same pollsters aren't finding a surge of support for the opposition either, despite all the perceived failings of the government. Now, it may be a lack of leadership or a lack of better ideas, but you'd have thought, given the charge sheet the government faces, the opposition would be ahead by a country mile. It's 1 or 2% at best. So, if it becomes a case of a curse on both your houses, or indeed all your houses, then it really is our cherished system of government that slowly slips into disrepute and jeopardy. If you're fed up with Party A, you can choose Party B or C or D next time. If you think they're all at it and up to no good, where then do you turn? The options, as Churchill observed, are often less savoury. Both the extreme left and right know that they relish the prospect of an opening. Do I exaggerate? Possibly, but the danger seems real to me. So today, I'm looking at the state of our politics and what it's slipped into. And I'm asking what can be done to sort it and save it.